this is how things happened. At first, someone got really annoyed. So, they ended up smacking another person, which led to a small fight between the two. But then our main character stepped in and stopped the fight. He invited the person who got smacked to come talk to him calmly. After that, he decided to test his idea. He focused on things he wanted to change, even if they were tiny cells. Surprisingly, he could control their behavior, like the time they took to react. He found leukemia cells in Hao's body and managed to slow them down by 10 times, effectively curing Hao's condition. Our main character explained what he did and mentioned that the rest depended on Hao's immune system. Everyone was happy about this positive outcome. Hao said he felt completely different than before, without any aches and pains. He even felt full of energy. Our main character then turned to Robert with a confident smile and asked him what he thought about him now. Robert was utterly shocked by what he witnessed and couldn't believe his eyes. In the next scene, we saw Robert jumping around with happiness, amazed by the possibility of something like this happening. He felt no pain at all, and he realized that our main character had treated him. Robert grabbed Lee's legs and praised him to the extent of calling him a god. Hao was annoyed by this behavior and told him to treat Lee with more respect and not to talk so casually. However, our main character offered an invitation to Robert to join his longevity club. Robert agreed to join the club with great excitement and said he would follow him for the rest of his life. Lee then handed him a contract and explained what he would need Robert's help for. First, he would need to create a database for talented individuals around the world. He should focus on those with weak bodies, weak parents, chronic illnesses, or those on the verge of death. After that, he told him to create another database for the wealthy, sorting them by age, wealth, health, and other factors. Finally, he needed Robert to do something right away: create messaging software that ensures absolute secrecy and privacy. Robert confidently accepted the tasks and assured him that it's an easy task and he'll take care of it. Now, at the residence of the Wrong family, Mr. Wrong assured one of his associates that Lee's powers are real and that he is proof of it. At that moment, a security guard approached with a package, telling Mr. Wrong that a guy around 20 years old sent it over, from Mr. Lee. Mr. Wrong wanted it to be opened right away. Upon opening it, they found a phone with the display showing Sane Longevity Club. The security guard mentioned that the same guy had given him a piece of paper earlier. Mr. Wrong got angry for not being informed sooner and ordered him to read the letter immediately. The letter explained that it was an invitation to the Longevity Club, which had a ranking system for its members. It outlined the requirements for members at each level, with higher points resulting in higher ranks. The letter goes on to explain that when upgrading to the next level, you can purchase only half of the required points. The remaining half must be earned by completing missions assigned by the Longevity Club. Speaking of membership perks, the letter details that each level can exchange a certain amount of time relative to their rank. Basically, the Longevity Club allows its members to exchange points for extended lifespan. The person reading the letter expresses disbelief that such a club exists, saying he wouldn't have believed it without witnessing Mr. Lee's powers firsthand. Mr. Wrong instructs him to gather everyone for an emergency meeting right away. During the meeting, Mr. Wrong shares that he received an invitation from Mr. Lee regarding a longevity club. Other members of the Wrong family become anxious upon hearing this. They acknowledge the significance of Mr. Lee's powers and consider this matter seriously. Mr. Wrong, the senior member of the family, asserts that he has already made up his mind about accepting the invitation. He doesn't want to delay their response to Mr. Lee and wishes to make a good impression. Other family members express their concerns, but since Mr. Wrong is the only one invited to the club, it's ultimately his decision. Senior Wrong selects the option to accept the membership and immediately enters a chat room with other members, engaging in casual conversations. Members of the Wrong family are surprised to see that the club already has many members, some of whom appear to be several hundred years old. However, it's revealed that these characters are actually creations of Robert, following Lee's instructions. Robert seems to enjoy this role-playing task where he uses various fictional characters to make Mr. Wrong believe that everything is real. They discuss the age of one of the members to convince Mr. Wrong of the club's authenticity. Then, using one of the characters, they provide Mr. Wrong with the so-called newcomer's mission. A character named 2 advises Mr. Wrong to change his name to 129 since he's the 129th member to join. 2 informs him that the chairman will send him his first mission for newcomers, which, when completed, will earn him a significant number of points and officially welcome him as a member of the Longevity Club, beginning his journey of pursuing a longer life. If he's ready, he can start right away. We see Mr. Wrong feeling overwhelmed by everything as he gazes at what he's just read. The members of the Wrong family are learning that the Longevity Club was created by Mr. Lee for those who seek a longer life. This club has appeared throughout history under different names. In this era, it's called the Longevity Club and has 3 missions that guide its development. The first mission is about protecting the Earth. According to the club's information, Earth is the only place for humans to live, so they can't ignore its care. The second mission is to advance technology, especially space exploration, allowing members to explore beyond Earth for a better world. The third mission involves advancing biology and human evolution. At this point, Mr. Wrong stops reading suddenly, realizing that some members are very old. The smaller the number in their name, the older they might be. Even though Mr. Wrong's family is quite old, existing for a few hundred years, some club members have been alive since the Ming Dynasty. This realization fills Mr. Wrong with a deep sense of respect. The wealth and experience these individuals have accumulated over the years must be staggering. He can't afford to disrespect any of them. While he ponders all of this, a message arrives from the club's president, describing the first mission. The message basically states that the Longevity Club needs a suitable meeting place that fulfills specific requirements. Mr. Wrong is asked to provide this location and will receive 500 points upon completing the mission. Upon reading the details of the mission, the family members thought it sounded easy. However, Mr. Wrong reminded them solemnly that a powerful individual would observe them, so they must complete the mission flawlessly and find a place that perfectly matches the requirements. On the other side, Lee and Robert receive a response from the Wrong family, stating that they'll do their best to finish the mission quickly. Robert informs Lee that the Wrong family took the bait, which is exactly what they wanted. Lee cautions Robert not to relax too much and to remain vigilant, ensuring that the Wrong family doesn't discover their location. Robert assures him that it won't happen, as he's skilled at what he does. Our main character finds it exciting to personally create such a large organization. A few days later, they receive a package from the Wrong family containing various location options for the meeting. It's evident that a lot of effort went into finding these locations. After going through the options, our main character finds one that suits his preferences. The chosen place is situated behind prestigious universities in China, exuding an academic atmosphere and combining traditional and Western styles. Robert confirms that this location meets all the requirements, and they settle on this choice. At the scheduled time of the meeting, we see Mr. Wrong standing in front of the location with his staff, waiting for Lee's arrival. Our main character arrives and apologizes for being late, humorously mentioning that even though he can control time, he's still running late. Wrong praises Lee for extending his lifespan, but our main character dismisses the need for politeness, stating that he simply traded money for more time, it's business. After this exchange, the members of the Wrong family take our main character on a tour of the place, which looks truly impressive. After Lee and his associates discuss how to use the venue, the staff from the Wrong family informs them that if they're dissatisfied with this option, they have the chance to consider an alternative. Meanwhile, Senior Wrong receives a text on his phone, informing him that he successfully completed the mission and earned 100 bonus points for his exceptional performance. He and the other family members are thrilled by this good news. While this is happening, our main character considers it's time for the next transaction. At the provided venue, he reviews the human resources available to him, evaluating their strengths and weaknesses. First is Bang Hao, codenamed 001, who is serious, calm, and can take action when necessary. He has no significant personality flaws and has strong growth potential. Lee assigns him to the security department, responsible for the Longevity Club's safety. Our main character believes he should continue training his body for optimal results. Next is Robert Tappan Morris, codenamed 002. Robert usually focuses on his interests and has some personality flaws, such as a strong desire to perform. Our main character assigns him to the online security department and maintaining the Longevity Club's group chat. Lee thinks this assignment will help him grow, requiring only time and space. Lastly, our main character assesses his own abilities, recognizing that he needs to allocate time for self-improvement. He plans to read, think, and experiment to enhance his skills. However, he also believes he should outline a plan to expand the Longevity Club. Here we learn that our main character might be more ambitious than he's shown so far. He explains his philosophy about how he wants to approach his business and role in the world. He envisions time in the future as endlessly flowing, neither rushed nor slow. He wants to view human history from a broad perspective and imagine how the future unfolds on a grand scale. Yet, as he delves deeply into his thoughts, he realizes that his ambitions might still be too much for now. He acknowledges he's a human being and should focus on what he can do at the moment. His current goal is to work hard with his employees. Meanwhile, at the Wrong family residence, they receive a new mission. As missions continue to come in, the first person to accept gets the task. Wrong SR instructs the family member to start working on it immediately and utilize all available resources for successful completion. Wrong takes this mission seriously. It involves finding a retired soldier, and they can earn between 10 and 50 points for accomplishing it. Later, Robert informs Hao about the new mission the Wrong family accepted, leading to a minor disagreement. Our main character intervenes by advising Robert to use more natural and less formal Chinese phrasing, understanding the culture better. Lee informs Robert that he'll need his help soon to complete customer data from around the world. He emphasizes the importance of being fast and accurate in translation, requiring proficiency in various languages. Robert, in his usual confident manner, reassures our main character that it won't be a problem for him due to his intelligence. Lee also arranged a special training room for Peng. In this room, time speeds up by 100 times, providing an environment for intense training. An instructor is present to teach him various skills related to protection and security. This includes handling weapons, guarding locations, and different fighting techniques, quite exciting stuff. When Lee asks about Peng's determination, he confidently assures that he'll do it. The next day, a retired soldier named Zhang Tiao arrives at the door. He explains that he can't discuss his past work experiences but is ready to follow our main character's orders. Lee introduces Zhang Tiao and explains his responsibilities, giving permission to push him hard. Dealing with this, our main character realizes that the advanced computers on the market aren't suitable for Robert's needs. They require a supercomputer to maximize his potential, which could be costly. However, this investment is necessary and vital for the Longevity Club's operations. Meanwhile, Hao is undergoing intense training with an instructor. The instructor tests his abilities and determination, pushing him to his limits. Hao recognizes that this training is far more rigorous than street fights and will truly challenge him. The instructor continuously attempts to demotivate Hao, telling him he's not ready and should give up. But Bateo is undeterred, persistently asking for more training, which the instructor appreciates. As they continue, our main character silently observes, using his abilities to accelerate time in the room by 100 times. During this, he receives a phone call from Zhang Bowen, the university student he recently met. Later, we see our main character discussing the student with Hao. Lee inquires about the information they've gathered on the student through Hao's investigation. Hao explains that the student is quite popular in his school, known for spending a significant amount of money on girls and giving them high-end gifts. His spending habits have led others to believe he's a wealthy millionaire's son. Lee realizes that the money he provided to the student is being used for these expenditures, likely to maintain the lavish image he's created. Deciding to meet the student, our main character arranges a meeting at a cafe. The student nervously awaits Lee's arrival. During their conversation, Lee mentions that he's noticed the student's extravagant spending habits. However, he neither praises nor scolds him for it. Lee acknowledges that he understands why the student wanted to meet. The student then reveals his intention to sell more years of his life to Lee. Our time merchant calmly explains that after the first transaction, there's no limit to how much time he can sell. He can decide on the quantity himself. He also reminds the student that for every year he sells, he will age by that amount. He advises the student to think this decision over carefully, especially considering he's still a young university student with a multitude of possibilities for his future. The student, looking unsure, reveals that his girlfriend insisted he should own a nice car for them to enjoy trips together. He's willing to give up a significant portion of his life for this. It's a puzzling situation, and one might wonder if there's anyone more devoted. The student's decision to sacrifice his life's time for his girlfriend's desires seems extreme. He's ready to let go of 4 years of his life initially, just to please her. His desire to show her the world is a strong motivator. However, things take a serious turn as he decides to extend this commitment to 5 years. He tells the protagonist that once this transaction is complete, they won't have any further contact. The student seems quite determined, and the protagonist, named Lee, respects his choice. Lee assures the student that he won't interfere with any potential changes of heart. If this is what the student genuinely wants, Lee agrees to the deal. The student reaffirms his decision, and they finalize the agreement by signing a contract. The contract involves the student giving up 5 years of his life in exchange for a substantial amount of money. As they part ways, the student makes it clear that he won't be in touch with Lee anymore. Here we are, getting together one last time, knowing this might be our final meeting. However, our main character, who has a good sense of things, is prepared for what lies ahead. His goal is clear now, and he has some time to achieve it. Our time merchant contacts a person named Robert to inquire about potential customers. Robert is known for his connections and insights. He tells our merchant about Song Shixiong, a prominent figure in the entertainment industry, who's not long for this world. Song Shixiong hails from the esteemed Song family of Mo City, one of the 4 great families. This makes him a potential customer worth considering. The protagonist is pleased with this information. The Song family is highly respected in Mo City due to their rich history and influence. They've been a significant presence for over a century, primarily focusing on the entertainment industry. Under the leadership of the current Song family head, they've amassed immense wealth. The Song family owns the prestigious international Tangerine Movie Company, which is the top-ranked entertainment company in the country. Their reach extends to highly acclaimed actors working under their banner. Moreover, the upcoming marriage of Mr. Song Zuan, a prominent member of the family, has been making waves in the entertainment industry. This event is gathering high-ranking individuals from society and big names in the entertainment field. It's a major happening, particularly for celebrities. Among the family members is Song Twin, the grandson and direct heir to the CEO of the International Tangerine Movie Company. Another individual in the spotlight is Song Shixian, whose significance is growing. As our protagonist contemplates, Miss Yang suddenly arrives, offering him grapes and behaving more subdued as intended by Lee. Engaging in conversation, she mentions the Song family's upcoming wedding ceremony, which she spotted on TV. Her excitement for grand, extravagant weddings becomes evident as she discusses it. Amidst the conversation, Lee's mind drifts. He reflects on how much of the money he acquired from the Wrong family has already been spent. He sees the Song family as a promising next target. Robert has been researching the Song family closely and has discovered that the eldest member is nearing the end of his life. The family plans to use the wedding as an opportunity for a ritual known as the Rinse of Luck, a Chinese superstition that involves using marriage to rid oneself of bad luck. This revelation surprises Lee, as even a renowned family like the Songs believes in such superstitions. Miss Yang, sharing her thoughts aloud, wonders about the nature of the upcoming wedding and expresses her desire to witness it firsthand. Lee seizes the opportunity and offers to take her there himself. He realizes that Miss Yang may be motivated by material gains, but he also acknowledges that, aside from this aspect, she doesn't exhibit major personality flaws. As Lee contemplates his decision, he recognizes Miss Yang's interest and plans to investigate Song Shik-yang's actual condition on the day of the marriage of Song Ian. Miss Yang arrives, captivated by the grandeur of the wedding. The event is adorned with famous actors and celebrities, which Miss Yang notices keenly. The wedding's high-class atmosphere raises some doubt in her mind about their ability to gain entry. However, our protagonist reassures her confidently that they not only will get in but will enter through the VIP route. Just then, Ali Mo, their acquaintance, arrives and stops before them. Someone from the Wrong family emerges and invites our protagonist inside. He mentions he would have picked him up from his place if he had known earlier. Our protagonist explains that he had errands to run, so it's all right. The man introduces his daughter, who has accompanied him, possibly as an escort for Lee. This woman is none other than Miss Wenwei, the daughter of the man from the Wrong family. Miss Wenwei approaches Lee, expressing that she's heard much about him and is honored to meet him. However, her expression changes abruptly upon noticing Miss Yang beside Lee. Swiftly, our protagonist pulls Miss Yang closer and introduces her as his girlfriend. The man from the Wrong family introduces himself to Miss Yang and then informs his daughter that he'll be joining them. He instructs her to go to the other car behind. Seeing Miss Yang somewhat distressed, our protagonist comforts her, assuring her that she's with him and has no need to worry. He emphasizes that no one will look down upon her in this situation. Miss Yang ponders over Goldman's unwavering confidence, even after mingling with high-ranking members of society. She's intrigued by who he is now, as he appears different from before. When the members of the Song family notice the arrival of the Wrong family's cars, they warmly welcome them and express gratitude for their attendance at Xi'an, Sweden. It's evident that the two families share a strong bond. However, the Song family members become increasingly curious when they see our protagonist receiving special respect, particularly from one of the Wrong family's sons. The Wrong guy introduces our protagonist as the VIP guest of their family. Despite their confusion about his identity, the Song family members extend a warm welcome. The elder of the Song family personally extends his hand to greet him and expresses gratitude for his presence. Seeing the respect offered by the Wrong family, the Song family members sense that there must be a significant reason behind it. They assume our protagonist should go along with it. Our protagonist is then introduced to a younger member of the Song family, and he comments on how the young man resembles his grandfather. In his youth, the young Mr. Song assumes that Lee knew his grandfather. Our protagonist replies that he conducted research before attending the wedding. They continue conversing, while in the background, Mr. Wrong begins to understand why Mr. Lee wanted to attend the wedding. It becomes clear that it's due to the head of the Song family. Later, we witness our protagonist and his escort, Miss Yang, walking the red carpet. Miss Yang is enthralled by the experience, as she never imagined being able to do this. She observes the lifestyle of the upper-class attendees. Feeling nervous under the scrutiny of many people, she nearly trips but is saved by our protagonist, who steadies her. He then confidently advises her to stay calm. His composed demeanor gives the impression that he's been in such situations before. Hearing Miss Yang's remarks, our protagonist realizes that his powers have awakened since he finds walking the red carpet quite ordinary. He then requests Mr. Wrong to ensure that any photos with him in them are deleted, to which Mr. Wrong agrees without asking further questions. The wedding commences with elegantly dressed hosts opening the event and introducing the bride, Meishan. Miss Yang becomes even more excited witnessing the spectacle. Meanwhile, our protagonist reflects on how this level of extravagance requires a rich history and a prominent family name. It reinforces his understanding of what he stands to gain from this potential customer. As the ceremony progresses, we see the Song family's eldest, the grandfather, being invited to bless the marriage. But as the elderly gentleman begins his speech, he's repeatedly interrupted by violent coughing. At that moment, our time merchant rises from his chair and employs his powers to freeze time. Everything comes to a standstill as our protagonist slowly approaches the old Song and his grandson. Penny, the security guard, reaches them, attempting to call for help, yet their efforts prove futile since time is paused for everyone except the two of them. Lee then informs the old Song about the limited time he has left. Confusion reigns among the Songs, not comprehending the situation. The old Song even entertains the notion that our protagonist might be the Grim Reaper. Lee clarifies that he's merely a simple time merchant who can offer a chance at saving his life. In a dramatic tone, Lee proceeds to deliver his usual lines, emphasizing his ability to trade time. He acknowledges that while time is often considered priceless, he's willing to sell it. Younger Song, thinking this might be a scam, intervenes and tries to dismiss the notion. However, driven by curiosity and perhaps desperation, the old Song pulls his younger relative back and inquires about the price of the time being sold. Our protagonist explains the mechanics of how things work. The value of time varies for each individual, determined by their monetary earnings. Lee defines this value as the monetary worth of a year, calculated as 1/5 of a person's annual income. He clarifies that each transaction is limited to a year of time and proceeds to provide them with information about the contract. Lee assures them they can contact him when they're ready to proceed. Additionally, he reminds the old Song that he should act swiftly due to his limited remaining time. While they were reviewing the card he provided, and just as they were preparing to speak with him, our protagonist had already vanished. The old Song turned to his son, sharing how he recalled the instance when the head of the Wrong family fell critically ill, followed by his sudden recovery. They also contemplate the extraordinary respect shown to the unknown guest from the Wrong family, leading them to suspect there's something noteworthy about him. As a result, the old Song suggests a meeting with the Wrong family. Meanwhile, Miss Shang enjoys a lifetime's worth of encounters with celebrities, snapping selfies with them. While devising a plan to make her friends envious with these photos, she spots Zhao Mensi, one of the country's most beautiful women, and she's determined to get her autograph. While approaching her, she stumbles and spills a drink on Miss Mensi, who becomes extremely agitated. Miss Yang, on the other hand, is utterly shocked by the unexpected turn of events. She feels she's made a significant blunder and is anxious about preserving whatever dignity she has left. In a desperate effort to apologize to Miss Mensi, Miss Yang gets up. However, her apology is met with fury, as Miss Mensi angrily slaps her away, rejecting her apology. Onlookers begin to judge Miss Yang, referring to her as a commoner and even as a peasant. A bystander next to Miss Mensi informs her that the situation has already escalated, and that the girl has already apologized. So, Miss Yang considered letting the incident go, but Miss Mensi had different intentions. She grabbed the glass from the guy and retaliated by spilling it on Miss Yang. In an act of retribution, Miss Mensi argued that not all problems can be resolved with apologies, questioning the purpose of the police if apologies were enough. It's quite the argument if someone's trying to rationalize their own unpleasant behavior toward others. Miss Menzies' anger escalated even further. She felt that this random woman had embarrassed her and caused her to miss important opportunities. In her frustration, she slapped Miss Yang once again, causing Miss Yang to stumble. Meishan, observing this rotten behavior within the high society she once admired and aspired to be a part of, was appalled. She couldn't believe how harsh and unsympathetic the upper class could be. Meanwhile, Miss Menzies took hold of Miss Yang's chin and explained in a hushed tone that she felt compelled to act this way. She justified her actions by claiming that if she hadn't retaliated, others might see her as weak and an easy target. During this exchange, a commanding voice from the back of the room ordered for Miss Yang to be released. Our protagonist emerged from the crowd, repeating his request for Miss Yang's release. Just as Miss Menzies prepared to protest, Lee, our protagonist, intervened, and Old Song supported him. Amid the commotion, Miss Menzies began to explain the situation frantically. However, her explanation was abruptly interrupted when old Mr. Song bowed to our protagonist, offering an apology. He signaled a beer to Miss Menzies, who realized she was in significant trouble. As she pondered Lee's identity and why Mr. Song respected him so much, the situation continued to unfold. The alt Song. In an angry voice, he tells her to apologize immediately to Mr. Lee. She understands that her career is going down the drain if she doesn't do it. Blasted, she's not sure who our protagonist is and what he's capable of. So she bows down and deeply apologizes to them. The Old Song tells her that their apology is not enough, which makes her keep increasing the intensity of her apology. But he too keeps telling her that she needs to apologize more and that it's not enough. So she realizes what she needs to do and starts slapping herself and desperately apologizing. The young Song. He tells the senior Song that he should stop, but the Old Song tells him that this is up to Mr. Lee and no one else to decide. He'll say when it's enough. Then, as Miss Menzies was on the floor from all the beating she took from herself, our protagonist tells her to stop slapping herself and approaches her. He stoops down and tells her that she really does look much better on screen. The woman is left speechless by his attitude. And then he says that he doesn't want to spoil the mood any further. After all, it's a big day for the Song family. And then he just takes Miss Yang and walks out of the venue. We see Senior Song trying to draw Lee's attention, but to no success. And then he tells his son that they immediately need the meeting with the wrong family before leaving. The younger Song tells Miss Menzies that these were the consequences of her actions, that they won't be able to handle, and that she better not think of revenge, because then even the Song family wouldn't be able to save her. But we see her angry and desperate, thinking how she doesn't care about the consequences. Now we see our protagonist and Miss Yang in a taxi on their way back home. She's apologizing, but Lee just tells her that she shouldn't envy those celebrities, because all of their value is just based on their looks, but they had to sacrifice their dignity and boundaries for it. And he also tells her that life might seem tempting, but it's not worth it. But they are basically just treated as items and nothing more. They are being controlled by influential people that bend and play with the law. So even the money they earn isn't clean. It's all a charade. He also tells her that not only should she not envy them, but that there's no need to be afraid of them. After arriving home, they see their neighbor Mrs. Zhu struggling with some boxes that seem too heavy for her to carry. We also learn from the rumors Miss Yang heard that Miss Zhu comes from a renowned family of scholars, but that she was set up for an arranged marriage with a guy that had some kind of a rare disease, which he found out after they got married, and he doesn't have a long time to live. Our protagonist was just thinking how Miss Yang likes gossiping, and then he told her to go in the house while he helps out the neighbor. Lee then went over and introduced himself to Miss Zhu. She said she knew that they had new neighbors, but she's just a bit surprised that they are this young. She then asked him about his job, but he skillfully avoided the topic by changing it and asking her why she's carrying such heavy boxes. Miss Zhu tells him that her husband is sick, they don't have a maid, so she has to do everything by herself, but that's what she's used to. Then our protagonist sees her age and lifespan using his powers. He thinks to himself,